Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? This is CRL Chart Request Live, the show where you provide the requests and we, meaning this guy, that way or that way, he provides the charts. Spencer Israel, Patrick Donawilla, back in the CRL saddle, the hot seat, crosshairs, so to speak. Pat, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back. Great to be back in the
We
house.
missed you.
I miss being here, you know. I always get some great ideas here, and I know Steve was upset that I wasn't there last time, but now he's the one out.
That's right. That's right. I guess that makes me the emergency pinch hitter for everyone, and I'm okay with that.
We're okay with that too.
Let's start with the request from the inbox, and then we'll get to the chat. We have a few inbox requests already. You have the first one on the screen. It's from Danny. He asked us to look at D over a 3-year holding period. I guess that means he's looking to hold this thing for 3 years, not that he has already held this thing for 3 years. Although I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, as far as energy names go, this definitely isn't the best here. I mean, you can see it's been a clear downtrend here, kind of since crude oil peaked in summer 2022. It's just kind of been in a pretty sharp downtrend here. Here you had a nice rally so far this year off the October lows, but it's kind of stalled out here the last few weeks. But the situation doesn't get that much better if we get down into it in the daily chart here. Clear downtrend. And yeah, you got a breakout here, but looks like it ran out of energy. No pun intended.
Oh, hey, heyo.
Right around here, just struggling. So yeah, if you get above 54, maybe you can play it back to 63. He said 3-year time frame. So I mean, I guess at this point, if you're looking for 3 years, you're looking for a return to all-time highs. Oops. So what would it take to do that? I think you almost want to see another. Sorry, let me just get my bearings here. You almost want to see another low here, and then maybe momentum not getting as oversold here, and get that bullish momentum divergence, and then maybe you're forming some sort of base. But this seems like a transition. It consolidated for so long, for almost a decade, pretty much, just kind of going sideways here, and then it finally is starting to resolve lower just these past couple years. So it's tough to say anything good about it here. I think this is turning into a structural downtrend here, and that could last a couple years at least.
All right, this next one I was debating not doing and saving for Tuesday when you've got Steve back, because I know he's long this next one. But actually, then I thought, you know what? Patrick is unbiased, so let's get his unbiased take.
I like it.
This is a question from Nate Dogg. He's asking about Jumia, the Amazon of Africa. He says he's currently back holding a sizable position, so the timeline is undetermined. It has finally started to go here a little bit, Pat. It's got a long ways to get to all-time highs, but it's off the mat at least. What say you?
Yeah, so it definitely has started to go a little bit, and it's actually, this is one that we do take a look at pretty often on the show. But it's starting to carve out something slowly but surely. I mean, the transition from downtrend to uptrend, that's a really slow process. A lot of times we compare it to like a cruise ship kind of changing directions. It doesn't just move on a dime like that. It takes a while, and you're starting to see that classic kind of what we call Wyckoff bottom, where the first step to a new uptrend is ending a downtrend, right? Might sound obvious, but you have that. So we got out of the downtrend last summer. Here we are. Yeah, we made another low, but you can see here we have a higher low, and here we looks like we're trying to make a higher high this week, but uh, off the highs a little bit. But this is really your level to watch in the short term. You could even actually pull this down a little
Right where
bit.
we are, in other words.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Ideally, I'd like to see it close above this 950 level, or call it $10, just because 10's a nice, important psychological level. That's something that, I know it sounds a little silly, but those things do come into play, especially with a lower price stock like this. Hitting those round number milestones are actually kind of important. But so you have this base here forming. If it can stick it above $10 here, then why don't we fib it out here? See what that's giving us. Yeah, 28. Playing it back to 28, you got a little bit of former highs here from 2019, but that's a nice move, $10 to 28. I mean, that's over a double right there. If you want to be a little more conservative, you could play it back to maybe 17, 1750 around there, but this looks good. It looks like the path of least resistance is higher when you have that carving out, that bottoming out kind of thing. And you have RSI down here. Momentum's in a nice, strong bullish range. So things are looking up for the Jumia.
And that's the good news for you, Nate Dogg. Things are at least looking up for you. Okay, what about Giovanni? I missed the entry on CrowdStrike above 297. How would you approach entering CrowdStrike here?
Yeah, so you can see I already have this one marked up a little bit here. So you got the retest already. You got the successful retest twice, actually. And here we are just gapping higher again. I think you want to watch this. It's always unusual when you have gaps on a weekly chart. Like if you look back here, I mean, you don't see too many gaps. But here, we just gapped up this week. So you want to keep an eye on that in the short term. If this reverses, it's probably an environment where the broader market's reversing. But, here we only have 1 day left in the week. But so, I mean, maybe it holds. It's totally possible that it just closes up here and we have a nice bullish gap here. Those gaps are always an important thing to kind of keep an eye on. They can come into play even years down the road. But anyway, this one, it's approaching its Fibonacci target here. Still got a decent ways to go. Still got over 10% here. But I would be careful of that. How we would play it in the short term, I think if you wanted to get in right here and then keep a really tight stop either right below this gap higher. Did it just have earnings or something?
Yeah, and then they're
Yeah.
getting added to the
Yeah.
they're getting added to the S&P? No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, getting kicked
Yeah.
out, huh? So yeah, you could either place your stop right here at the bottom of Monday's low where we talked about that gap higher, right around 366, and you can give or take a few pennies, a few dollars, if you want to not place it at the obvious low, if you're a little superstitious like me. Or you could even put it at the low of Friday's low here. If you want to give it a little bit more room to breathe here, that way you got a little bit of shelter from this former resistance level. Maybe that'll act as support. But it's not a trade that I would love to trade at this point. I do think it will head higher and ultimately head up to that 425 in the next couple weeks. But it's a little late. It's a little extended. I think if this was a long-term name that you wanted to get in, maybe once you get to there, you see some healthy consolidation, and then you buy that breakout. You look for some sort of resolution there. Maybe it'll come out of a bull flag. It's hard to say what that consolidation might look like, but a lot of the times these things will reach that first Fibonacci level there and then just kind of digest and consolidate before they can continue higher. But this looks like a great breakout here.
All right. Ivan asked about Samsara. I don't know how you pronounce it. IoT is the ticker there.
Yeah.
Speaking of, it's already marked up, but buzzwords of yesteryear, IoT.
Yep. I mean, speaking of the buzz, IoT is one that has showed up on the buzz a lot.
It has.
So this is one. In fact, I think it showed up last week, so it makes sense that we're getting some questions about it here. You can see, kind of speaks for itself here. It's kind of it is totally falling apart this week. It had some nice things going for it. Had a nice breakout, couldn't quite reach that target there. That's our target. That's how we drew our fibs. Who's to say that there's actually resistance there? Fibonacci, the reason we use it for price targets is because when you're in blue sky territory like this, there's really no other way to find potential resistance levels. Yeah, you could use a measured move. That's another popular method, but Fibonacci is one of the best guides for that. But either way, didn't quite reach it. You can see momentum was kind of telling you that it was going to roll over or that it had some issues here. You haven't even gotten an overbought reading since last year, since June. So it was losing momentum, and here we're finally getting the breakdown this week. I think you got to take caution if it's below 30. There's really no reason to own it in the short term. As far as support goes, I would be looking down towards the low 20s here for potential support. You kind of have these two things working for you here. You have former highs here, and this acted as support a couple times already. So that's significantly lower from here. It could stabilize somewhere in the middle, but I think this thing has downside risk in the short term.
All right, this next one is from, was it Hanson? I want to say it was TTEK, Tetra Tech. Let me see if I can read the comment here. Yeah, Hanson, 6-month time frame. He's already long. He's looking for levels to manage his risk.
So I got this one marked up too. I think we clearly have some fan favorites here because this is the account I usually use for CRL here. So we've definitely been asked about this one before. But you can see resolved out of a nice ascending triangle pattern. That's one of my favorite patterns. They're pretty reliable, pretty bullish. And it's come back a little bit, but we're finding support nicely somewhere. I mean, we caught a bid this week. Tetra Tech, are they oil? Are they energy?
Actually, that's a great question. I don't know.
Engineering and construction. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. But this one, you're looking at 238 as a target in the near term, and you really wouldn't want to see it get below 285, I'd say. 285 would be definitely a big red flag here. You could see this come in a little bit more and continue to retest. I think it would make sense to see it come down here, and that would be an ideal place to buy if you do get the true retest here. But in the short term, if this thing continues higher, you could even use this week's low here around $200 as an out point if you really wanted to get in here, and then ride it up to 238, 239 even. But yeah, I think that's the path for this one in the short term, but definitely a popular name, has momentum behind it. I think.
All right, and last but not least, from the inbox, then we'll get to the chat, is a question from Jonathan about silver futures.
Oh boy.
I know.
Silver futures. So, yeah, let's go all the way out here. You're getting that classic retest in silver. The metals were so hot for so long. I don't think I've seen them this hot that they've been in the last few months in years. So makes sense that we're seeing some pullback here the last few weeks, but it's holding nicely. If you wanted to look at this on a closing basis, we can do that too. It's a little cleaner. You have a little bit more room to pull back here. I really wouldn't get too worried unless we break below 26 here. You want to see silver hold above 26 if it can. I think it's going a lot higher, I think, still in the long run. And if you missed out, if you were thinking when gold and silver were rallying recently and you were thinking, man, I wish I had bought more, this retest might be your opportunity to do that, because it looks like a pretty classic retest so far, or pullback, to that breakout level. Momentum on that pullback, you want to see it hold above this range here. I was going to say hold above 50, but more importantly, you don't want to see it break too much down below this range down here. Here, let me highlight it. Yeah, so 40-ish. below 40, that could get to be a problem here for momentum. But right now, it's in a nice, healthy, bullish range here. Ooh, uh, anyway, yeah, there we go. Hit overbought recently a couple times here. So looking at that 27, 26 level to do some buying in, even
As
28.
long as it doesn't get oversold.
Yeah, as long as momentum doesn't crumble too much, I think you're good here. I think
All
this
right.
one this one looks like it'll hold up.
To the chat, Pat. Let's start with
Good chat.
Donovan. Oh, I thought we did this on Tuesday. I guess not. Parker Hannafin, PH. Speaking of stocks that are pausing for arrest after huge uptrends,
Now, what is Parker Hannifin do again?
they're machinery.
Oh,
They,
okay.
they are like a industrial conglomerate of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, really steady, solid uptrend here. Has pulled back a lot. Well, a little bit. I shouldn't say a lot, but hasn't really gone anywhere since April. It really isn't giving it a great signal here. I think maybe you look towards the VWAP for some sort of confirmation if you want to get in the short term. You could look for a breakout above this VWAP from all-time highs here. So that's 540. So you get that breakout, you throw a stop in around 511 here, right at this little support level here. But yeah, I think that's how you play it in the short term. And then once you get in, you use all-time highs as your first kind of target. Maybe you take some off there, and then you just let the rest ride as it kind of resumes that uptrend that it's been in. But you can see we keep zooming out on this thing. Really nice, solid uptrend. It's one of those names that you're not buying Nikola or something like that here. It's a pretty solid, trusted name. It's not GameStop or something like that. So this one looks good here. I mean, we talked about momentum. Momentum isn't great. It's nothing to write home about here. But at least it's not getting oversold. That's one thing that you don't want to see. You want to see it kind of continue to avoid an oversold reading down here. But other than that, yeah, you're looking for that breakout of 540, something to get you in the short term.
Nice. All right. This is a good one here from Denise. Coinbase, and it's a little bit of shame that Steve isn't here because Steve loves this one. I know he's long. This chart looks so juicy to me. Pat, tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Coinbase here. I think this one is one of the best ways for a lot of people to play crypto. If they don't want to, if you're not fully trusting all these other miners and things like that, Coinbase, they are pretty trusted here. Holding up really nicely here. You can see this VWAP from December here we have drawn in. Again, these are a lot of old drawings, so I'm just kind of cleaning them up. But in the short term, you really want to see it hold above this 196 level here, these lows from May. And it's holding comfortably above them now. And you can see that level dates all the way back to these IPO lows here. So it's been an important turning point before. You definitely don't want to see it get below there. If it does, then you're looking back down to this 118 level. But in the short term here, let's go back into a daily here. So if it's above, let's call it 200 for just ease sake here. But if it's above 200, now you're looking for a breakout of these March highs here. So that's around what, 280? But really shaping up nicely. I mean, it's small base, but since March, you got what, 2-3 months base here. If that gets out, then zoom back out. Then you're looking back towards all-time highs around 375. So 275 should get you back to those all-time highs around 375, but path of least resistance is higher here. You have a really nice uptrend. I'm not sure what short interest looks like. I can't imagine it's too high.
No,
But
I may have to go and buy this one myself today because this one just looks so good.
Yeah, this one's a solid one. If you don't own it, I think this is definitely a good way to get some exposure to crypto.
All right, just a couple more and then we'll head out. Luke Hessian is asking about Pfizer for the remainder of the year. This is probably the worst looking chart that we've looked at today, Pat. And look, it's already marked up
Yeah,
beautifully. Just
yeah,
what a disaster. Um,
it's
I know
pretty rough.
it's got the dividend yield, it's got the yield, so you got that going for you, which is nice. But I mean, from a price perspective,
That's
uh,
true.
not
Just a
good.
disaster. And I've said it before here, but this is to me, every time I see Pfizer, it's a great example of how tough it can be to trade fundamentals sometimes
Oh
because,
man.
if I had told you we'd have a global pandemic and Pfizer would be the one to come out with like the first vaccine and stuff, you'd think, great, let's go buy Pfizer.
Right, exactly. I'm glad you said that. And it did
No.
go up, and it went up from like 27 to 62.
Yeah,
And it took what, March of 20, and it took a year, almost 2 years for that to happen.
yeah.
27 to 62. That's good, but that ain't good enough to make you to let you retire, you know?
Right, right. It just didn't even last very long. You didn't get to enjoy those gains for very
Right.
long. Just rolled over and gave it all back here. But here we are at the pandemic lows. We've been testing it pretty much all year. We're back on the mat again. This was looking at least encouraging here. You had the trend line break. You reclaimed those COVID lows, so things were looking good. But here we are, just couldn't make anything out of that failed breakdown here. So that you had your chance here for the Bulls. That was the chance, and here, yeah, it's thrown it back. It could hold up here. It could find support, but the bottom line is relative strength just isn't there. Within healthcare, within biotech or pharmaceuticals, there's stronger names out there. This just isn't one of them. So I think a lot we get asked about Pfizer a lot, and I think a lot of people are looking to buy the dip on it because of the logic that I just described. They're involved in all these vaccines, they're in the news a lot, all that. But the price chart is just, it's abysmal, as you said. I mean, it's trying, but there's really no reason to own it below 25 if it does break down past there. But you could try it here. If you do try it here, just, make sure you have a stop around 25, whether that's a hard stop or a mental stop, just something to make sure that you're not bag holding this one and just continuing to look for reasons to own it when it's down here at 21 or so.
All right, let's look at the Amazon of America. Amazon.
The Amazon of America. Woo. So I have this one marked up a little bit here. You can see, I mean, this is the obvious level to watch, right around, let's call it 188 as far as the breakout level. It's tried these last few weeks. It looks like it's going to go. Then it just hasn't gone. And for a beautiful base like that, that's kind of to be expected. I don't think they were going to make it that easy where we just break right out and have a clean break. This is one of the most watched stocks out there. People have been waiting for it to go. It hasn't made any progress since the decade started in 2020. So since the pandemic, one of the biggest stocks out there just still hasn't made any progress here. So when this thing does finally wake up and when it does start going, that's going to be very, very positive for the broader market indices, specifically the NASDAQ and the S&P. And maybe that's an environment where Nvidia is correcting. It gives some room if this starts working, which I think it will. Then that gives some room for Nvidia to breathe and some of these other mega caps that have done really well. Maybe that's an environment where Apple's correcting a little bit, but you see this kind of rotation between the mega caps a lot, and that deceives a lot of people because they'll see something like Tesla breaking down and they'll think, oh gosh, or Apple breaking down and think, oh gosh, that's the largest stock. How can the market go up without it? Because you have stuff like this where all of a sudden Amazon might start working because it's gone nowhere for 4 years. I do think this one will start working soon. 188 is a decent level. You could even jump it here. I think I would not blame you at all if you had jumped it a little bit and didn't wait for confirmation, but it's probably not a great habit. But you're looking at upwards of 250, so 254 as your target here. So that's a nice move from one of the largest stocks out there.
And something to keep in mind too, if the S&P is making new all-time highs, what are the odds Amazon is not doing the same?
Right.
It would be alarming. Let's do one more.
Yeah.
Thank you for that message, Kenneth. I did skip Crocs at the top of the chat. Let's look at Crocs over a 3-month time frame. I'm wearing Crocs right now, actually. My Crocs slippers.
Should I get a pair, Spencer?
I've never owned a pair of Crocs like the usual Crocs. These are slippers. Okay, I got these as a gift a very long time ago. I wear them around the house to keep my feet super toasty. They're wonderful slippers, wonderful. But I've never worn them in public, so I guess that doesn't make me a true Crocs person.
Yeah, I mean, try them out in public. No, they do look very comfortable though. So you got short-term highs that it's breaking now. As long as it's above 150, kind of an important psychological level. Then you're looking at all-time highs are next here, and that's around 175 here. So 150 gets you to 175, nice clean round psychological numbers there. But this chart, I haven't seen Crocs look this good in a couple years. It was one of the stronger stocks during the whole growth boom. Not surprising, but really came back from the dead nicely, shaping up for another move higher here. If you do get that breakout above 175, 180 here, then we'll fib it out, look for a target. 269, not bad at all. So 150, then you're looking at, we'll call it 180, 150 to 180, 180, 269. Pretty nice move here, but this one, path of least resistance is higher. You keep zooming out on this one, you're gonna find a nice solid uptrend there that is probably in the process of resuming. So looking good from the Crocs.
Can't explain it, but no one seems to be able to, but that's okay because the chart don't lie, even if no one has actually seen Crocs in the wild. But
right.
What are you gonna do?
They partnered with all these. They did a good job partnering with celebrities, right? They partnered with, I think, Drew Barrymore, Justin Bieber, these celebrities that have a big following and a big fan base. So did something right.
I've just never seen a brand go from hot to not to hot as wildly and as quickly as this one does. It seems like every other year it's either hot or it's not. But I don't know anything about fashion. All right. 1:30, we got to hop. I did just drop the link in the chat to our special Hot Corner event today, 4 o'clock. Straza and JC talking about how they use insider transactions to find ideas and make money. So there's the link for that. Pat and Steve will be back on Tuesday. Today's Thursday. On Tuesday, they'll be back 1 o'clock Eastern time right here. Email us your requests or drop them in the chat. We'll see you there. Pat, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you, guys.
Peace.